Even if you just want to
Yep.
have a sexual experience, would she want to, imagine you were your dream girl. Would you want to have sex with you as a man? Okay, that's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of a tongue twister, right? And the same
Yep.
thing
Yep.
goes
Yep.
for like a relationship. Like, are you the type of man where she would be proud and say like, this is my husband or this is my boyfriend? Because I think a lot
Yeah.
of guys, and this is inspired by some clients, not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
in a good way, where they're always focusing on how women sucked and how they're always so anxious and how women have so many
Yeah.
options when it comes to the dating market and blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah, right? And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so, let's imagine all that stuff is true, but what can you change?
Mm-hmm.
What about yourself? Do you think you need to change anything?
Yeah.
And I've had a few of them
Yeah.
say like, no, I think I'm good. And I'm like, and I was thinking, what the fuck? You think that you're good? In fact, that you're the biggest issue. But of course,
Yep.
the biggest way to make someone shell up is to tell them that they're a victim when they're being a victim. And
Yeah.
and anxiety, how it relates to anxiety is that while anxiety in dating specifically can feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
powerless, I think it
Mm-hmm.
goes to say that, you know, if you were to actually shift your focus to something bigger, like you improving yourself, and shift your
Mm-hmm.
focus to something more, I don't want to say more noble, but better about like how do you
Yep.
connect with women? How can you be more
Mm-hmm.
authentic? I think you'll notice that your blinders and your focus on your anxiety will diminish, and your anxiety will diminish because you start focusing your mind on bigger questions and bigger issues
Yep.
and more,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, noble issues that will help you
Mm-hmm.
naturally take care of your anxiety. Because I got to tell you, like, when I used to, and I'm ranting for a little bit, when I had a lot of anxiety around women, I was always scared that, uh, this is funny, a girl would date my friend because we were both on the same dating apps and that she would like it.
Okay.
And I've actually had incidents like that happen. I was like, oh my God, that means like I need to work on my game and that I'm not good enough. I need to make more money and all that stuff. Like I need to become even more ripped and even more edgy, right? And then I was
Yep.
a
Yep.
like nervous wreck. But I gotta say, with all the work I've done on myself, the way I would approach that now is
Mm-hmm.
that would mean she's just not the right one for me
Yep.
because I know my worth.
True.
And what I think Grayson's trying to say is when you start to really love yourself and value yourself, naturally a
Yep.
lot of these issues fall away or they fall into the
Mm-hmm.
proper perspective. So, with all the things that I said and the things that you said, how does a man love himself? Because I think nowadays the theme of self love has been passed around the dating advice community and the spiritual self
Mm-hmm.
development community quite often.
Yep.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
guys have covered it, but what are some practical ways someone can love themselves more and have a lot less self hatred?
Well, I believe first and foremost, what you can do is actually write down a list of your strengths, a list of what you love about yourself. Okay, I'm sure people who are listening to this right now, they will say, "Man, I hate myself, man. I don't think I have anything that I can think of." But then again, everyone have their own strengths and weaknesses. Think about what you have been doing at home that has made people happy about you, or even the girls that have dated before, and they would have said something like, "Hey Jeremy, I really love your humor." There you go. That was one of your strengths, right? Because you make me laugh, and like nobody was caring about how I laugh and how weirdly, wildly I laugh. You know, this along this line, or even people will say, "Hey man, that's a witty idea. You're really it's a great idea that you have." And people, you can think that, oh yeah, I have this strength that is, I am really witty. I'm also very creative. Yeah, so go along this line and think about the strengths that you really have been told, or you already knew that you have it, just that you don't actually self praise yourself that much, and then give yourself a pat on the back whenever you have made some improvements in your dating world, in your relationship as well, because no one can be perfect. No one is perfect in the whole world. There are definitely tons of people that will somehow reject you, or they will be able to, not want to talk with you. It's not because of you. It's sometimes it could be because of them, or I would say many times it could be because of them. So instead of the talking negatively towards yourself, why not self praise yourself? and also be aware. Self-awareness, right, is really very important in my opinion, because if you are aware about who you are, what you want in a relationship, why you want in a relationship, and even to the extent of why you want to be a victor, or then rather than a victim in the realm of dating or even in life in general, that will be a great starting point for you. Even though this might be very new age personal development kind of thing, but in fact many people from the past has been doing this thing over and over again until it became from old age to a new age kind of thing. So you need to know about more about who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. It's okay to know that you have certain flaws, right? I also have my own flaw as well. My flaw could be quite something that I dislike about, right? But it doesn't mean that I do not have strengths. But when you know what your strengths are, double it down on your strengths, triple it down on your strengths. Because when you are aware of your strengths and you are able to make sure that you really are very positive about your strengths, somehow or rather you feel happy about yourself. You feel contented a little with yourself. But of course, there are definitely tons of way to improve yourself, right? So instead of talking negatively about yourself and to yourself, have positive self-talk. And then slowly you start to really love yourself. And perhaps even in the morning when you wake up, okay, tell yourself, I love you. Okay, don't have to just look at the mirror. Maybe you can look at your phone that has the dual uh that has the dual camera function. Just look at yourself and then tell yourself, Rayson, I really love you. I really love who you are, trying to be someone that is very authentic and being you, because no one can ever be you, but you are doing your best to be the best version of who you can be. Have this kind of self talk to yourself. It doesn't mean you can just do this. Okay, you can also buy yourself gifts, like pamper yourself a little. That is how you self love. You can don't just buy the Rolex or the Lamborghinis or the Ferrari. If you have that amount of money and you are able to pay for all this stuff, fine. And if you are already investing and all, you are able to pay for all this kind of stuff, fine. But if you are in the middle class, right, or uh, in a not so nice term, like the lower class as well, of men, right, in terms of the monthly income, right, or the yearly income, um, you can just give yourself a treat to a nearby restaurant, for example, or a cafe, or even buy yourself a book that you have always wanted to buy for yourself, that is really enriching and it's educational as well. And you find that, oh, I want to give myself something. Maybe you want to buy the Armani shirt that you want to buy, or the Ralph Lauren polo tee, or something that's affordable as well, or maybe even experience, right? You want to travel, you want to give yourself some love through buying things for yourself as well. It could be just it could not just be things. It could be something else, like experiences, or even programs to improve yourself, because you felt that some parts of you are lacking, but you want to actually improve on yourself. You want to improve on the love for yourself. Yeah, you can do all these things, right? Even buying a movie ticket for yourself just to watch, or watching the recent MLS or NFL kind of uh, matches that you really wanted to watch, but you just didn't have the time to go and watch it. Yeah, just go and buy the fucking ticket and just go and enjoy yourself. Let yourself enjoy the moment of who you are and the experiences that you're going through. So this is what I did to myself, for
Yeah.
myself as well. Yeah.
And those are awesome tips. I would say actually it all starts with yourself. If you
Yep.
are always looking for someone to love you, whether it's your parents, your friends, or women when it comes to
Yeah.
dating, It's going to
Mm-hmm.
become it's like a weird thing, right? Because you're going to repel them because you're being very needy, and it's going to form a
Yep.
really downwards loop. It really has to start with yourself and trusting that you're lovable and doing stuff for
Yes.
yourself that you're lovable. I actually created a free guide on confidence, and one of
Mm-hmm.
the pillars of confidence, I put three pillars, is knowing that you matter. And that means
Mm-hmm.
whatever you do, as long as it reinforces that, that's what matters, right? And a lot of people, they
Yep.
put their power outside of themselves because it's dependent on the world. And by that I mean everyone
Mm-hmm.
else except you to validate them. But you can actually do nice shit for yourself. And I think a lot of
Yep.
guys, they have this crushing sense of I'll be happy when I and insert whatever they think will make them
Mm-hmm.
happy, especially when it comes to women. Like,
Yep.
sleep with X amount of women, have the hottest girlfriend, have a
Mm-hmm.
threesome, whatever it may be. And that's like such a bad way to live because then you're like, to use that example, you're like that donkey that's chasing the carrot on the stick. And maybe here and there you
Yep.
might be able to get it, but that's such a bad
Yeah.
way to live. And you're going to be so fucking miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that misery is going to blend over and you're going to attract the wrong women, or actually you might end up repelling a lot of women because it's such a negative uh,
Yes.
feeling being around you. So what?
Yeah. It
Go ahead.
and it shows how low your self-esteem is in terms of I've dated Britney Spears, for example, or I've dated people like Rihanna, for example, right? If you were to just chasing after stardom by dating and having sex with multiple women, because that is fun, and that is how you feed your self-esteem, then in the end you will be very miserable, because that self-esteem is only fed by how many girls that you have been with, what which country of girls that, or which race, or which country, which continent they have been, and you are always telling yourself that, oh, I've dated this girl, I've dated people from India, Mongolia, and all these whatever countries, and then whoa, it feeds your self-esteem. But in the long run, it will definitely die down, because you will start to ponder, right? You will start to ponder, what is my life all about? Why am I chasing after different country, different race, different whatever, religion of girls, and trying to prove to my friends, my male friends especially, that I'm the alpha of the whole dating relationship industry. But apparently it doesn't work that way, because in life, what I realized is that for myself, I want to leave a legacy behind before I leave this world. And this this kind of thinking, like, wow, I have this girl, I have that girl, it kind of like let me think that, hey, so what if I have girls from America, from Mexico, or Chile, or any kind of country that you can think of or name of. So what, right? So what if I have all these kind of girls? What do I gain? Well, I do gain the experiences, like, well, I gain the sexual experience, maybe I gain the romantic experiences with them, but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't really mean anything to you. Then I believe it somehow or other, you start to change, especially as you grow older, you start to mature even more. It's about how you view dating and relationship. It's not so easy to actually get a really nice view of dating and relationship, because sometimes it sucks, right? Sometimes the girl that you like will blame you for certain things, because maybe you're late, or because maybe during the time when you're sleeping, when both of you are sleeping, you didn't hug her to sleep, and then she got frustrated because of that, along those lines. But it's all about, it's I would say it's all about how you view dating and relationship, because my view and Jeremy's view could be slightly different, right? But what about the audience that's listening, tuning in right now, right? What's your view of relationship and dating? Is it something like what Neil Strauss, Real Social Dynamics, have done it, or could it be like what John Gray, the author of men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or many other uh, relationship gurus point of view? Is it along these lines, or is it a mixture, or whatever, right? It's all up to you to think about it, right? It's all up to you to think about what's your view of dating and relationship. Is it something that's meaningful, healthy, or is it something that it's all about sex? Oh, you have 50 girls that you have dated with, and that makes you like the king of the world, or is it something even more than that? Because I'm sure there are slight amount of people who just want to have sex. There are quite a number of them that don't just want to have sex. They want to have meaningful relationship, irregardless whatever religion they are from.
Yeah, I would agree that, in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you want is a good question, as well as like, what do you think you need to become to attract that? Because we will
Mm-hmm.
always attract people that are at the level of our beliefs and our patterns. For
Yeah.
example, I used to attract, when I was a nice guy, I would attract women that were very, I'm just going to put it this way, they were very emotionally unstable, and I would put up with it.
Emotional. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
Yeah.
became more of a quote player, I would hook up with a lot of girls, but I'm like, why would they never stay around? Right. And then I
Yep.
realized
Yep.
the
Yep.
things that were within myself. And eventually I was able to attract quality women. Not saying that
Mm-hmm.
instantly you can get the best girlfriend ever, right? Because it is a
Yep.
process at times. But it
Mm-hmm.
was just like I changed. I mean, I was the
Mm-hmm.
same person, but I changed internally. I was still in the
Yes.
same place physically, like in terms
Mm-hmm.
of how I looked for the most part, as well as where I live. So it must have been me. And I guess all this kind of goes back to, you know, what is your self esteem? What is your view on the world?